Turn it up, it's the Pancake and Powerslams. Turn it up, it's the Pancake and Powerslams. Turn it up, it's the Pancake and Powerslams Show. Turn it up, it's the Pancake and Powerslams. Turn it up, it's the Pancake and Powerslams. Turn it up, it's the Pancake and Powerslams Show. Turn it up.
Let's get this. Let's get these air horns up here, man. Here we go. There we go. There we go. All right, what's up, y'all? Let's go. We having fun today. Come on in, y'all. Share the link. Share the link. Hey. Yeah. Come on in, y'all. Share the link. Share the link. Yeah. Hey. What's up, y'all? We got the chat going in, saying good evening. People's in the building. Mados in the building. James, the animal, Heel Biz, no meat, no need. Yeah, man. Come on in, y'all. Share time. We're going to talk about the psychology of a revolution. Mullah's in the game. Salute. Yeah. Come on. Yeah. Come on. Yeah. People coming in. People saying hello. People saying salutes. Share the link, y'all. We got a fun class for tonight talking about the psychology of a revolution. 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 The beat is dope. Nice. Shout out to Lake Inspired for this one. This was called Overjoyed. Yeah. All right, y'all. We're going to have fun as always. Talking about, as we do always, every single week I bring a class to you all. So it's going to be fun like it is every week. P&P shows, we got a peak show. This ain't no freak show, but we got a bunch of freaks, wrestling freaks, but more than at intellectual freaks. Those who want to know more about this topic more than before. Oh, what's up, y'all? Here's one freestyle for you, Daniel. I could drop a little bit of bars to you this week, man. So there you go. All right. This has become one of my favorite times of the week. Man, I appreciate that, man. I appreciate that very much so. With that, with the Dr. Chris freestyle. Nice. Yeah, that's what I do. Nice. 106. That's awesome. You're welcome. You're welcome. You're welcome for sure. All right, y'all. Let's get this class in session for sure. And just like that, I'm back. You know, it's crazy, man, because my wireless, really cool wireless mouse. It's really cool. I paid a lot of money for this. But here's the crazy thing. My guy Derek's in the building, man. What's up, Derek? How about that, man? The OG co-host of P&P, my friend Derek, man, from OG P&P co-hosts from when did I start P&P? Well, the second co-host, my good friend Ryan was the OG co-host, and then Derek took over right after, man, and then of course Evan became a co-host after that, man. So, man, we had 2012. Wow, man, that's crazy. That's crazy, man. That's crazy. Freestyle with Fryer froze on the screen. Nice. But I got this really cool wireless mouse, man. But here's the thing. On the side of it, I have controllers that can control screens as well and move around and navigate and stuff. These two things here are arrows. And so the only thing is cool, nice grip. But if I push that, boom, I'm off the screen. So very fun, man. Yeah, we're gonna have a good time, man. It's a vibe already. Just like I said last week, man. It's a vibe. It's a vibe. I'm feeling it. It's good. It's good. I'm feeling it. It's good. It's gonna be fun. All right, Revolution. Let's talk about Revolution. And no, I'm not talking about the WCW faction Revolution. I'm not talking about that. I am talking about Revolution as far as starting a revolution, a social revolution, a political revolution, a movement, a occupational workspace, media. All there's revolutions that we've seen in many different ways. What is revolution? Revolution is defined as a radical change in the established order, which typically takes the form of organized movements aimed at affecting change, such as economic change, technological change, political change, or social change. I mentioned a couple of those. And of course, again, hashtag Ask Doc. What I do, for those who aren't familiar with the format, what I do is I do my class in the beginning, and I also do the Q&A at the end. And so to bring your name up on the screen, just hashtag Ask Doc. There's a lot of really cool conversations in the chat, and then Ask Doc just brings it up. And so, all right. So those who start a revolution have determined that the institutions currently in place in society have failed or no longer serve their intended purpose. Okay, so how do we correlate that to pro wrestling when it comes to a revolution? So here's the thing, we'll get more into like revolutions as far as like good and bad, and just one of the biggest parts of one of the biggest deciding factors when it comes to what makes a good revolution or a bad, or what makes a healthy revolution or an unhealthy revolution. But one thing to understand when it comes to revolutions, when it comes to a pro wrestling perspective, is they feel like I said, the place in society have failed or no longer serve their intended purpose. How does that correlate to our truth? Well, very clear as what we've seen, the announcement that he left, that he's going to release. He actually announced that it's going to be released. People were surprised about that, because if there's anybody who was basically bulletproof from not losing their job in the WWE, it was definitely Ron Killings. He was a comedic act. He, was a merch seller. All of those things were very, very important aspects of R-Truth. He was very likable. He's one of those baby faces for forever that he just found something else to be innovative, like the dance break with Carmella, the hilarious spots when it comes to this Sunday at Money in the Bank, and Kane said he's not in the match, and he's saying, "My bad, that's on me." You know what I mean? And him having those moments, having another moment where he's not supposed to be, he wasn't in the match, thinking he was in the match. The Royal Rumble segment with Brock Lesnar, that basically we knew that he was meaning to crack Brock Lesnar, which he ended up doing that successfully, getting himself Money in the Bank, targeting, cutting a promo that people thought it was Brock Lesnar, him shifting that to Paul Heyman after the whole Brock Lesnar thing, saying that he's going to undeclare himself. So many moments when it comes to R-Truth that were just absolutely hilarious. Basically Teflon when it comes to having his opportunity to be a mainstay. If there's anybody who had job security, it was R-Truth. It came as such a shock and a surprise. I got some information that was back from backstage. I got several actually people from backstage that were telling me some things, their thoughts on the situation. I reported those things, and people were just like, man, like, if R-Truth is gone, man, that doesn't make me feel so very secure. And then just the revolt that came with that. Fans just weren't happy with it. There's been several releases this year, but there was something about R-Truth that people thought like, yeah, this ain't right. This ain't right. There's a failure in the system here to let go of R-Truth, and therefore the revolution happened to bring him back. And so at the end of the day, this is what happened as far as the revolution. Now, this is a really interesting quote that Aristotle, I'm really big into like Greek philosophy and Stoicism, things like that. Aristotle said this quote about revolution, and I read it and I thought that was just spot on to this topic today. It's a bit lengthy, but I'm going to read all of it. It's really, really cool. He said, "The universal and chief cause of revolution is the desire of equality, when men think that they are equal to others who have more than themselves, or the desire of an inequality and superiority. When conceiving themselves to be superior, they think that they have not more, but the same or less than their inferiors. Pretensions which may or may not be just. Inferiors revolt in order that they may be equal, and equals that they may be superior. Such is the state of mind that creates revolutions. The motives for making them are the desire of gain and honor, or the fear of dishonor and loss. The authors of them want to divert punishment or dishonor from themselves or their friends." Very, very, very nice. That was really good. I'll give you that one too. Yeah. So basically, he mapped out of saying there's motive. Motive is the key when it comes to revolutions. Is the motive about someone wanting to overthrow an unequal establishment that made someone feel unequal, or that wasn't fair? If someone defending fairness, if someone defending equality, or someone basically drunken in superiority and wanting to overthrow that mentality of someone wanting to be drunken in power. Motive really comes so much into play when it comes in regards to revolution. Like it's really, really important. We've seen revolutions all throughout. We've seen cultural revolutions all throughout the annals of American history. It's way more when it comes to histories across the country, across the world. But and across the country, we've seen revolutions all the time. What's the motive, though? What's the motive? And then when it comes to a revolution, we have to be clear when it comes to what's the end game there. And that's interesting, because that's my next point when it comes to revolutions, though. While revolutions forcibly can overthrow social order, most fail to generate longer-term psychological changes to bring about a match between the behavior of the population and the espoused goals of the revolution. So research shows that, yes, these revolutions, they have temporary, like, forcible fixes, but at the same time, studies show that most don't really have effective long-term impact. And so we see this a lot, even from a pro wrestling standpoint. And when it comes to R-Truth, yeah, R-Truth is back, but how long does this last before he's just another flavor of the month to the fans? That's what we see from a more wider or a bigger perspective, or more umbrella perspective when it comes to the research. The research shows that these fads happen, these revolutions happen, but at the same time, they don't last long. And there's several examples when it comes to that, when it comes regarding wrestling movements or wrestling revolutions that the fans have done. So here's the deal. When it comes to that, Fathali M. Moghaddam, he wrote a book called The Psychology of Revolution. He said this, I'm going to quote this. He said, the perpetual revolution is seen to be needed by at least some revolutionaries, because there is no guarantee that people, including the revolutionaries themselves, will continue to change in the direction of the goals of the revolution if they change at all. So in this book, The Psychology of Revolution, which is a good read from what I've read so far, it really breaks down a lot of purposes of revolutions and the continuity. It's like, okay, yeah, so we're going to start this movement, we're going to start this revolution, but are we sticking with it? Is it really a fight that we really want to fight, or we just want to make an impact temporarily, just for the sake of saying we made an impact? And we see that. We see that. So Moghaddam adds that both revolutionaries and the masses often change in ways that contradict the goals of the revolution. So you want to start this revolution, you don't have enough patience to withstand the revolution. And then what you do is you just abort it. And it's like, okay, so did you really want to follow through with this revolution, or did you want to just put yourself over for the sake of putting yourself over, saying, I contributed to a cause. I contributed to a movement. I was the one who had, from a group perspective, I was one of the people who changed this thing. Okay, check on the checkbox and I moved on. Well, that goes back into the research that shows how much people abort revolutions. People abort movements because they want to see a change. It changes, and then they move on. Case in point, we saw this with Kofi Mania. Kofi Mania was one of the biggest examples of this. Kofi Kingston, what does he do? It just came up on a whim. Mustafa Ali was getting a push. He gets injured. Kofi Kingston has a really good showing at Elimination Chamber. That causes a wave of wanting to start this revolution of making Kofi a world champion. People felt like he deserved it. He's been putting in reps. He's been doing a lot to make him qualified from a tenured perspective, won a bunch of mid-card championships. They wanted him to be successful. And so here's the thing, man. That's the thing with Vince McMahon. I mean, from a business standpoint, from a professional standpoint, if he smells money, he's going toward the money. Period. He's going toward the money. And guess what happens? He even involves himself in the Kofi Mania storyline by having him, lose the qualifying match and then, be a part of and then trying to stop him from being able to have that world championship opportunity. Then finally he gets that world championship opportunity. And so at the end of the day, Vince McMahon said, "Oh, I smell money. I'm going to move toward the money." He says, "Oh, let me go ahead and even give you let me insert myself into this storyline. Let me get enough heat because I know that I can generate heat. I'm going to be sure that I'm going to make you way over as a babyface by even inserting myself in it." And it was successful. It got Vince McMahon a bunch of heat. It caused Kofi to even have more of that type of come from behind, textbook babyface mentality or role. It was successful. Kofi Mania, WrestleMania 35. He beat Daniel Bryan. I was there. It was just the ovation when he won was just resounding. It was absolutely resounding. And so guess what? The revolution was successful. It worked. But guess what happened after that? Like very shortly after that, the fans started to boo Kofi. And he was the same Kofi that you cheered just months before when you wanted him to become champion. You aborted the revolution. So it didn't have lasting effects. Kofi Kingston never returned to a singles main event status. Never. He had that moment, 6 years ago now, and never returned back. Got squashed by Brock Lesnar. The debut in 2019, Fox debut of SmackDown. Squashed by Brock, lost the championship. He kept it for 6 months, but at the same time, it's like during those 6 months' time, fans started to cool off on him. Fans started to boo him. Like he started to get boos. Same thing with Drew. When Drew won, I mean, like he was a heel, and just they started a revolution with Drew. And fans cheered him at Royal Rumble. They wanted him to win. One of the biggest Royal Rumble pops that ever happened in the history of the show was when he eliminated Brock Lesnar. And when he won. And so fans were into the Drew train. Yes, COVID came, and that really thwarted a lot of that. But even from that standpoint, even in the socials, people started to cool off on Drew, and they started Drew revolution to get him there, and they cooled off on him. Hey, guess what? We're starting to see that now with Cody Rhodes. You had a "We Want Cody" chance. It changed the trajectory of WrestleMania 40. Cody finished his story. They did the 2-night thing. Rock even involved himself into it. It was great. I absolutely put that over. But guess what? Then people started to cool off on Cody. Cody's boring. Then people cheered him in moments. But guess what? At Money in the Bank, when they announced his name, people were booing him. In a promo before that, people were booing him. Cody did nothing different than what he did before. But the fans are aborting the revolution. And we see this over and over and over and over again in the pro wrestling business. Fans abort the revolution. They start one, they don't have the patience, they abort it. And when Daniel Bryan called the fans fickle from a psychological standpoint, that's the reason why. Because revolution, abort it. Revolution, abort it. Revolution, abort it. And so it's like you're continuing to have these people who like fans like, and then they don't like, then they like, then they don't like. And that doesn't really help when it comes to a lasting impression on a revolution. Because guess what? Just like I said with the studies to show, revolutions have a temporary effect, even from outside of pro wrestling. They have a temporary effect, but at the same time, it does not have a lasting effect if it's aborted. Period. It doesn't. There's many, many, many examples that comes with that from a business standpoint, from a societal standpoint, and we see that from a standpoint of pro wrestling. Several revolutions. We want this. This person's chanted. We want to get behind this person. We achieved that status, but we abort it when it's done. And that goes to show from a standpoint of outside pro wrestling, you have, for instance, a Martin Luther King, a Malcolm X, who 60 years later, people are still locked into their revolutions for social equality and cultural equality. And so that's 3 generations ago. That's 60 years ago that people still are working and locked in and glued to that revolution and still fighting for it. If a revolution is something that is so important to you, you can't abandon it. You can't abort it. You got to keep fighting. You can't give up on it. And so that's the reason why when it comes to these revolutions, I think of this stuff and I think of R-Truth stuff and I'm like, is R-Truth another Kofi Kingston? What are they going to do with him? Are they going to give him the championship? Okay, cool. If they give him the championship, okay, he should really have one last run because that's a revolution that can be successful and it can go into, the annals of history, and it can go into, the future of saying, you know what, this was a very successful last run that the fans had so much to do with and just about all to do with. That can be a positive revolution because, like I said, the motives were positive. There was a break in the system. There was something in the system that people said, no. Yeah, we didn't like the fact that other people were released, But there's something about this one that you're not going to hear the end of us. Okay, it was successful. Now, my challenge to the fans is how far are you going to push this? And there's even studies that talks about, when it comes to one of the reasons why revolutions are thwarted and aborted is because even with the group of people that's overthrowing that inequality, oftentimes the stronger numbers are still on the side of those they're trying to overthrow. And so that's what makes revolutions difficult to have lasting power, studies show. So what are you going to do with that? The fans were the majority. The fans had the voice, the louder voice. The fans had the numbers. So you were able to overthrow the business decision to let go of truth. Okay, cool. You were able to do that. However, when it comes to the fact that if you want to make this a lasting impression and less of a we did it, now we can move on, which fans have. There are many ways fans have, because guess what happened? R-Truth, Ron Killings, we brought him back. He gets the pop. You can do one of two things. He goes back to just mid-card and he's just back just to be back, which shows that the creative overthrew. You weren't able to overthrow creative. You were good enough with just bringing him back. So again, the revolution is only temporary. It doesn't last long. Or you can keep pushing to make him a star, to make him a main event guy. But guess what? We're already seeing it, man. When it comes to pro wrestling fans, we're already seeing it because they brought truth back. And so now the shift is LA Knight, LA Knight, LA Knight. We want LA Knight. They've been trying to do that. They cooled off. Then people start saying, yeah, we don't want LA Knight anymore. Even earlier this year, just a few months ago, people were saying, oh, LA Knight should win the Elimination Chamber. LA Knight should win the Royal Rumble. People were like, no, we're done with that. We're done with that. And so the revolution wasn't strong enough. It was continued to be the creative and the executives on top kept thwarting the revolution. And so the voice wasn't stronger than the powers that be, if you will. And so people started to abort it. They were like, well, we don't have that much strength to really have even more of a voice when it comes to LA Knight. So people just say, oh, we're done with that. We're done with that. But guess what? You went from, we're done with LA Knight to we want LA Knight, because that's fans. That's the type of fan mentality that we have. And I've talked about that in several of my other classes that you should watch about negative comments, mob mentality, swarm theory, all groupthink, all of those things that impact or influence the minds of wrestling fans, especially both individually, but especially collectively. And so if you really want it, you got to pursue it, man. People really wanted Daniel Bryan. Daniel Bryan was losing matches before he won. The Money in the Bank was losing matches during Money in the Bank. He ended up cashing against Mark Henry. That was cool, but it was just kind of lackluster. They wasn't really booking him very strongly. The fans, the yes movement was Daniel Bryan and the fans working collectively to make him have a WrestleMania moment. That match was supposed to be, if I'm not mistaken, that was supposed to be Batista versus Randy Orton. Batista won the Royal Rumble that year. Fans said, that ain't happening. And Daniel Bryan, they wanted Daniel Bryan. That's where the yes movement came in. Then you made Daniel Bryan beat Triple H in the beginning of WrestleMania, and you had him win at the end of WrestleMania and win the World Championship. That was a fans thing. So if you really are tied in and glued into the revolution from a lasting standpoint, you got to fight for it. You can't just give up on it. And but here's the thing, but Daniel Bryan started to call the fans fickle because they started to cool off on him too. And so that's the thing, man. Like the attention span of so many of these pro wrestling fans nowadays, from a psychological standpoint, is so short that it really is difficult to really, if you're looking at it from a WWE creative standpoint, from a WWE executive standpoint, you can look at it from the data that we've seen over the past probably 10 years. You can see it. You can see it. Okay, cool. We'll give them what they want for now, and then they'll shut up. Those things have been true quite a bit. So how much, my challenge to you all who's on this We Want Truth movement, I'm glad he was back. I was all for him coming back. How much you going to fight for him achieving more than what he was given? Okay, he's back. Now what? So where do we go from here? And so I think, at the end of the day, it does really make sense for the fans to have a lasting impact to support R-Truth and not just go to LA Knight. I got a message, and as a disclaimer, don't ever do this. Don't ever do this. People in the pro wrestling, fans of the pro wrestling business, and again, I've made many classes on the minds of so many of these just loony, delusional, petulant wrestling fans. I got a message on my personal Facebook. Other than promoting my shows, I don't ever talk about pro wrestling on my personal Facebook page. And I got a message on Messenger from someone who I have no clue who he is. And he was talking about, I read it and I no-sold it because it was just ridiculous. I was like, you know what? I'll just save the show. If this person is watching the show, I'm telling you now, don't ever do that again. Like he said, why are you talking bad about LA Knight? And then he starts to give LA Knight's resume. I'm so disconnected from pro wrestling when it comes to my personal page to respond to DMs about pro wrestling, dude. I mean, are you kidding me? Like there's a couple people on PNP that you can still do it. I'm cool with it. They send me messages. I get a lot of messages saying that I enjoyed shows. That's mostly what I get from saying that. And I appreciate that. That's fine. But some random yahoo who didn't like my comments on LA Knight, them moving over to LA Knight and having a new flavor of the month, that just goes to show how delusional a lot of these pro wrestling fans, and you want to rest on the laurels of that type of mindset, those minds, you want to rest on the laurels of those people, man, it makes it really difficult to have that lasting impression. So I'm really hoping that a lot of people, the fans, similar to the fans on PNP, who are really big into being highly intellectual. I always say, PNP, we have high IQs, high EQs. We are a very studious, intellectual bunch over here at PNP that's really focused on continuing to develop our mindsets, both intellectually and emotionally. So with that being said, we're going to start a revolution of getting me 1 million followers and subscribers on YouTube. Are you in? Say I'm in, and let's do it. So without further ado, that is class for today. As always, man, fun. I appreciate that. And we're going to have some fun. And yeah, so I hope that you understand more as far as what the psychology of, we'll get to questions here, of course. Like I said, Axe Doc, and I'll go ahead and pull on the screen. I hope you understand what the psychology of a revolution is, and what the motives are. Like what good revolution, bad revolution, what's the motive? Do you really see a stark, blatant inequality that you want to overthrow socially? Go for it. Do it. By any means necessary from a legal standpoint, of course. But the same point, do it. Go through it, follow through it, keep that energy when it comes to sustaining it. There's one thing of saying, hey, we made it, but what about the sustaining power? And that's where revolutions come as far as having a lasting impact, which it should. 60 years later, we're still fighting for racial inequality. And so it takes time. It takes time. Revolutions take time to last and to maintain. And so with these wrestling revolutions, is it just another shock moment and then people just move on? We'll see when it comes with this R-Truth stuff. So I wish him the best, man. And I'm glad that he is in this moment now, and I hope that it sticks. All right, ladies and gentlemen, without further ado, it is now time for the question king. All right, where we at, man? Let's do this. Yeah. Let's do this. Let's do this, man. All right, y'all. Ask Doc is the way to go. How's my back? See, I like questions like this, man. I'm a big fan of questions like this. The People's Wrestling Channel. My back, man. Okay, so many know I had a major back procedure on Monday. And so, man, my back has been hurting. I mean, it's been incredibly in pain for most of my life, actually. Like 75% of my life, at least, I've had like agonizing back issues. And so multiple surgeries, multiple stints of rehab, multiple different procedures. Had an epidural last year that lasted about 2 days. I was a new man for 2 days. And so, but unfortunately after day 3, I started to get the pain again. And so I was studying and researching and got a couple recommendations too. And I said, okay, I'm gonna do it. So I got a procedure done on Monday, and I said it'll kick in about a week. Sore, very sore. They stuck, needles about yay big, about that big, down my back, multiple of them, hitting nerves, penetrating muscles, and all of that jazz. And so my body is recovering from that. And so that is the bad news, and I'm sore. The good news is that the pain, the intense daily pain levels that I'm in right now I am experiencing relief. I'm await for this week to get by and for it to kick in like they said. But this procedure is supposed to last from 6 to 12 months. And so I'm like, you know what? If I can I have not gotten past 2 days of back pain relief in all of my adult life. I got 2 days last year that was just, I felt like I was a new man. A few years ago, I got a trigger point injection that lasted for about a day, 2 days. It lasted for about 2 days. I went to a lot of people know I'm a big jazz fan. I was walking around. It was still a little stiff, but it was a relief. I was walking around at Jazz Fest, definitely not. I mean, like the pain levels that I receive from a daily basis when before procedure and stuff like that, it was just it's unbearable every day. Like I can barely think. Like one of the biggest things when people experience like chronic intense back pains is brain fog. Brain fog is one of the most uh, see one of the most common um, symptoms of chronic back pain. So because of the back pain, brain fog, man, and it stinks. It stinks, man. But I was feeling better. Things were better. And then it only lasted 2 days and got a huge migraine at the end of that excitement. So we'll see. We'll see how this happens, man. I'm hopeful. I'm optimistic. I'm looking forward to being on the show next week and giving y'all an update. I really, really hope I've got good news on the other side, man. I appreciate it. Thoughts on sponsors now being on ladders. WWE is getting their shmoney. They getting their shmoney. I mean, I don't care. I really, I don't care about that, man. I'd do it. If someone's going to pay me a bunch of money just to have my logo on the ladder, why wouldn't I accept that? I mean, like there's one issue when it comes to like raising ticket prices and having unbearable ticket prices. Yeah, now that's something I can advocate. That's something I can like be on the side of as far as just being against. I can be on the side of people speaking against and revolting against that. But when it comes to like logos on ladders, get your money, get that bag, WWE. Have more of that stuff so you can bring those tickets prices down. Just sponsor everything. Sponsor the mic that someone's holding. Sponsor. I mean, like when people were talking about the sponsor stuff and they were getting upset about it, I'm like, have you ever watched an episode of Memphis Wrestling? Have you ever watched an episode of Continental Wrestling back in the mid to late 1980s? Go back to an episode of Continental Championship Wrestling with Lance Russell and Dave Brown from back in the day. Memphis Wrestling, ladies and gentlemen. Memphis Wrestling. They had that all the time. You would have on the apron of the ring, you would have companies, just random local companies. And I mean, it is what it is, man. That's par for the course. That stuff's been going on for 40 plus years, man. So I'm not mad at it. People's Wrestling Punk versus Cena is the match everyone wanted. I never thought we would be getting Cena versus Punk in 2025. I'm not sure about everyone, but yeah. Mado, are we in for the Summer of Truth? Do you have faith they will book this last round well? Cena seems like the type to put over Truth and happily drop the title to him. So bookmark that comment, Mado. Bookmark that comment. I know some things and I heard some things. Yeah, keep that bookmark. James, I heard Triple H was the one who let Truth go and Nick Khan was the one who called and brought him back. So he and Triple H are not really good terms right now, but would you make that an angle on Raw? So Triple H, so Truth, he thanked Triple H in his tweet. I imagine it's Truth being a professional guy and just, being a company guy that he is. Now, do I make that an angle on Raw? Yes, absolutely. You want to talk about getting even more. You want to talk about something that would rev the engine of this we want truth movement, it would be having an antagonist try to do things that would cause truth to get fired. Why don't you have every single match that truth competes with, anytime he loses, if he loses any opportunity, if he loses any of these matches, he's fired. So every single match that R-Truth competes in has a stake to it. Every single match. So what you do is, okay, well, every single match that R-Truth is a part of, if he loses, he's fired. So that would cause it to be so much more intriguing, one. And two, that can lead him to a title match against John Cena, because that's the end of it. R-Truth is trying to get to John Cena. However, Triple H comes in and he continues to create obstacles on the route to John Cena, and he continues to have people come in, and whoever beats R-Truth gets a bounty. And we were talking about old school NWA, a bounty, man. There's a bounty on somebody. And there's a bounty on R-Truth. And whoever beats R-Truth gets this bounty, and he's fired. So then you have everybody trying to sign up. You can have people turning heel. You can have R-Truth defying odds. You can have Rusev try to go for it. You can have Omos come back. You can have anybody be a part of it. You can have someone from NXT come up. You can have anybody, man. You can have an indie guy come up. Anybody trying to. It can't be like the 24/7 type of deal, but it's like going to Adam Pearce every single week. He's got a line full of people, and he has like a lethal lottery, or he has like like one of those old school lethal lottery type of spindles, where you have like the balls and everybody signs up and he pulls the ball up. We don't know who it is. R-Truth comes out again, and then you have somebody comes out. So that element of surprise is there every single week. The fans want R-Truth to win. They'll pull behind them. You can have so many people be a part of this, man. So many people. And then he wins all these matches, and then he goes against John Cena, and people were thinking he won all these matches just to lose against John Cena. But guess what? He beats John Cena. So that's how you do it. How do I promote my pro wrestling tees? You promote them. I mean, what's the link? Give people a link to them and do it. James, I know you and Vince Russo are good friends, so how do you deal with all the negative stuff people say about him? Like he ruined wrestling in WWE. It makes me mad. I can't imagine how you feel. Here's the thing, man. Like I said this before. I think this was last week's class. As far as like the psychology of social media, like specifically the psychology of Twitter. Yeah, that was last week's class. I talked about one of the concepts on that is that studies show that people are more prone to dehumanize and comment negatively towards someone who's a public figure versus just like an ordinary, person on social media. So it's very common, man. Stuff like that is just common. It's unfortunate of how the mind works when in correlation to that. But that's par for the course, man. People. Here's the thing. I've said this before. A very interesting principle that people should think about when it comes to why you shouldn't spend the time getting so upset about what people on social media who you don't know says about. You don't know them. They don't know you. Their comments are very ignorant, and you should never have the time or energy to explain yourself to complete strangers, man. Like it's just, and I tell people this because it's important for us to really preserve our time and energy. But even that, man, there's so many people who deal with insecurity. I can give you all types of John Bowlby and Mary Ainsworth attachment theory, psychology when it comes to that stuff. But what happens is the more autonomous people are, and the more that they do the self work, the more they realize that they don't need to comment negatively on Twitter. Like that to someone with the high EQ and a high IQ level, they're not going to spend the time going back and like going through things of how they feel about on Twitter about pro wrestling and just throw ad hominems. Like that's just not something that someone who has a high EQ would do. And so saying all that to say, here's a really important philosophy that everybody should pay attention to. Everybody, like people, not everybody, but those who really put the work in to manage their emotions and to really work on it. Nobody ever bets 1,000, but people can really be at a mastery level of this stuff if they do the work. But for those who don't do the work, those people, which is so many people, they seek to find the villain in someone else, because at the end of the day, once all the layers are peeled off, that's how they feel about themselves. So it makes them feel better about continuing to self-sabotage when they project someone else to be the villain. That's just a indication of how you feel about yourself. You're the villain in your own mind. That's the reason why you self-sabotage. But if you can go to Twitter for a moment and just start throwing out snide ad hominem comments, that's a relief. That's a moment of relief. Oh, wow. Someone else is the villain now. I don't have to think about myself so negatively for a moment. Oh, Dr. Chris is a heel now because he was given information from backstage that was inaccurate. Oh, cool. Let's make him the heel. Oh, Triple H is the heel because he simply posted something about Triple A when R-Truth was gone. He's the heel. Like, oh, cool. Let's just make someone the heel because I already think about that myself. So therefore, if I have a moment on social media to relieve me temporarily from how I think about myself, I'll take advantage of that. Why in the world should I invest in that? Why in the world should anybody invest in that and go back and forth with people on Twitter, man? Like I said this before in the show. I got there was a couple of times that I was really focused on building. I said this before. I was really focused on building my brand up, and I kept giving out free stuff, free scoops. This one was spot on. This one was spot on. This one was spot on. Boom, boom, boom. People started asking me questions that I didn't have the time to answer. And so slews of DMs. I still get DMs about stuff. But slews of DMs asking me questions, slews of tags of when's this person come back? When's that person come back? What's this? It was a lot. But at the same time, man, in that, there was a couple of times where I reported about Jade Cargill. I think someone had their panties in a bunch, and I was going back and forth trying to speak sense. And it was another time with some girl. I don't even remember her name, but she was commenting something. I don't even remember what it was, but I was just like, man, I as a psychology doctor, can I talk some sense in these people for a second? And so that was like my mentality. And then I kind of scaled back and came back to reality. Like, no, I can't. Like, you can't. Like that's something that takes intense therapy, but it takes their willingness to work on themselves first. You can't change people, man. You can guide someone to change if they want to be, or if they desperately need it, but or they're in peril, like they need it or else type of deal. But man, you can't be you one Twitter exchange with anybody. It's going to take a miracle to change their perspective on something. The reason why these classes help, because it helps you get into the mind of these people, man. And so it's like, nah, Russo, him and I, really good friends. We talk, and man, I give him advice. I'll talk to him about stuff. I'm like, man, no sell that stuff. No sell it. No sell it. There's no need. There's absolutely no need whatsoever to give anybody any type of satisfaction to say, oh, he responded. Like, think about that. You're so miserable with your life. You comment on Twitter for a public figure to respond. It makes you feel good about yourself because you felt wanted and you feel like you got some attention. That's essentially what it is. That's essentially what it is. There was a comment, I think on one of my classes on Twitter, somebody wrote something, and I assessed it. I thought about it. I always usually chuckle. I usually chuckle with these comments, and I looked at the comment. I was like, boom. See, that's exactly what I was talking about. Like, if Exhibit A was a comment, boom, that's what the comment is right there. I rest my case. That's what I tell my kids a lot, man. I'll say something, I'll prove them wrong. I'm like, rest my case. That's what I tell my kids and all of my family. Like, my family start cracking up laughing when I do it. And that was one of those moments. I look at these comments a lot. I'm like, rest my case. Rest my case, James. As you can tell by my profile pic, I'm a huge fan of Kane. I was wondering, what's your favorite Kane match, and do you think we will ever see him again in WWE, even for one more match? Doubt for one more match in WWE again, perhaps. I don't see why not. But I think he's done, unless Saudi pays him well, but I doubt it. Favorite Kane match, man. Just because I was a Kane fan, I gotta go probably him, Austin, First Blood, when he won the title for one night. Yeah, that's probably it. Or WrestleMania 20, just because of the build when Taker came back. Because of the build, he got buried alive. Taker got buried alive, and that was him. That was the end of his dead man gimmick, or it was AB. It was ABA at the time. ABA Taker, dead man came, or biker. You're going to pay Taker came after that, but yeah, that was his ABA Taker gimmick. No, it was actually before that. So dead man, yeah, you're going to pay biker Taker. Big Evil Taker was, so it was ABA, then it became, so it was Big Evil, and then it was and then he was some Survivor Series, buried alive. Taker got buried alive, and then he came back the following WrestleMania. And so that moment, and the match was just okay, actually. But yeah, I liked that match. So Yep. Met Kane and talked to him as well. Bill Apter introduced Kane and I. He was just sitting down at a bookstore doing SummerSlam weekend, and I was making my rounds talking to some wrestlers, and he was by himself, and Bill Apter introduced him and I, and we talked, and just a pleasant guy, man. Just a very pleasant guy. Danimal, see Ron Killings versus John Cena down the line, and Randy Orton screwing Ron Killings in the mask, turning Orton heel. Remember, Ron Killings screwed up Randy Orton's chances at Backlash. Okay, cool. Hill Orton, man. I'm tired of these flip-flops, man. My biggest pet peeve with wrestling today is theme music. Being a drummer and gigging a lot, I can honestly say most of the themes are bland. You can't tell me one from the Virgin era. I agree with you 100% on that, man. I talked about this before. Royal Rumble, like to Danimal's point, Royal Rumble is the best exhibit of what he's saying right here. I remember watching Royal Rumble this year, and the theme songs came. There was a few of them, especially Finn Balor's. He had some variation of something, some new something that lasted for a hiccup. I think the Judgment Day has it now, but I was listening to these theme songs. I'm like, who was that? Like, if I'm saying who was that to a lot of these people who are coming out to the Royal Rumble, that's the problem right there. That's the problem. I'm saying who was that to a lot of these theme songs. That's an issue, especially they keep changing. What? People's Wrestling Channel, your thoughts are on rumors of Reigns' contract being renegotiated. If I was WWE, I would be doing all I can to keep him out of this year. Cena's done, Goldberg's done, Reigns is there, 1 star left. You know what? The People's Wrestling Channel, you are learning, man. I think that's one of the most just intellectual things that you've said about Roman Reigns. Like non-marquee. I think that was good, man. I gotta give you your flowers for that. Yeah, I mean, yeah, I agree. I agree. They need to renegotiate his contract 100%. Yeah. For sure. They need Roman Reigns without a doubt. WCW faction. Thought Revolution was TNA faction. Revolution was Shane Douglas's faction in WCW. Alrighty then. James, I've been thinking, imagine how all the other people felt let go recently, how they felt they never got a We Want Carlito or Strowman chant. Yeah, I mean, that comes and goes, man. Releases happen all the time. There were some huge releases, but there was just something about truth, man. You know, like I said, it's just, if anybody had job security and had like a Teflon, contract, it was our truth, man. Av, what's up? Do I feel fans kill wrestling? I know wrestling companies are not telling stories, but is that because fans are so fickle and won't let stories build, so companies just book matches instead? I think it's a combination of a few things. I think it's fans not being patient anymore. They want, this is awesome. They want holy bleep. They want those moments. And so it's a dopamine injection. It's like someone being injected with the drug temporarily. Someone is so addicted that let me get my high real quick. Let me get my injection. Boom. All right, I'm done. Boom. All right, I'm done. All right, I'll be back. Boom, I'm done. Boom, I'm done. Okay, I'll be back in a few days. Boom, I'm done. And so now they're fiends. They're fiends for those pops. Like if you spent the time with like building stories, which you should, they'll go through withdrawals, but that's a way to wean them away, is to actually have stories. But if you keep doing those pops, match, I mean, you're giving them the syringe. Boom. Okay. Boom. All right. Be back in a few. Boom. Okay. That's basically what wrestling is nowadays. Can some of these studies be used for the sports for football fans? Yeah, absolutely, man. I do think that I do think that pro wrestling fans really are a rare breed. They're a different breed. Now you have fans like this all across the board, man. As an avid Ohio State fan, I see the delusion on both sides when it comes to a lot of these conversations between Ohio State, Michigan, college football. I mean, like, I think one of the stupidest things in the whole wide world is Michigan fans holding on to the fact that they beat Ohio State last season and 4 years in a row to compensate their inability to win the national championship last year, and Ohio State did. Do you think Ohio State fans give two Karens about losing to Michigan if they win the national championship? What? Yes, it's something that we need. It's a stone that we need to turn. We can't leave this stone unturned. But at the same time, we will trade a Michigan loss any day of the week for a national championship. So that was a big thing. And, you know, college football is loony too. But at the same time, man, being an avid college football fan, even being a bigger college football fan than I am a pro wrestling fan, I've seen loonies on both ends, but pro wrestling fans, it's a different breed, man. Do you have sciatica back pain? I actually had surgery to deal with sciatic back pain. Yes, it is down there. Clip side, is it possible to reverse the Pavlov effect that has its clutch on WWE fans, or are we stuck with these crowds forever? Man, that's a really good question. So, man, okay. I might save that for a class. I might just break down the Pavlovian effect for a different class. The short version of that is, once you're conditioned, it can reach to a point of what's called extinction, but then there's also a point of what's called spontaneous recovery, that it just comes back. But it can reach a point of extinction. But the point of the whole Pavlov thing is using a neutral stimulus to become a conditioned stimulus to have a reaction of the Pavlovian dog saw the food in the bowl, the whistle becomes a stimulus. When the whistle blows, the dog goes to the pan. So then the dog starts to salivate for the pan without the whistle, but then they hear the whistle and then they hear it. But the whistle's pulled away, and then they become conditioned to respond to this stimulus, even when the stimulus isn't being prompted. And so, yeah, I think, I can definitely break that down if we have some time on another show. Rollin, what's up, my man? The Rock told New Orleans that WrestleMania 42 would be there, but now it was changed to Las Vegas. Has The Rock said anything about the change to Las Vegas? I don't think he has, man. That's actually a really good point, which makes it, I'm not a conspiracy theorist, man, but this Rock and WWE thing, yeah, man, it's a really interesting continued develop story. All right, let me see. Man, okay, these are really good questions. All right, real quick. I'm kind of disappointed. James said, I'm kind of disappointed in seeing this run in this last year. So why not bring in some of his former rivals who can still go like RVD and JBL? Why can't just have face main roster talent? Yeah, because those people, especially JBL, would say no. RVD, perhaps. That would be interesting. But at the same time, Cena's going to beat him. And what's the story behind it? It's just like these pop-up people to come and make it make sense. I always say, make it make sense. Rolland, no, I think BD, what do I think about Bully Ray? Oh, that's a good question. Man, God bless him. God bless Bully Ray. I've met him. Wasn't the friendliest, but I will say I have talked on the phone and met Devon, and Devon is a pleasant guy. But hey, man, Bully Ray is his own man, and he has his ways. And okay, I mean, it doesn't bother me none, man. Doesn't bother me none. Rolland, do I think that Ron Killings will win the WWE title over the World Heavyweight title? I feel like Levesque sees Killings like Jey Uso, so instead of seeing it, Gunther drops the belt to Killings. Perhaps. We talked about that in the show last time. Perhaps. I bookmarked that one too, because again, I don't want to spoil stuff, but just bookmark that one. Yeah. There's some discussions that this run will be pretty well. That's what the plans have been discussed. However, whether they're followed through, that's we'll see. Zubair, what's up? Speaking of backs, I got a new bed with an adjustable base with massage. I believe it helped my back already, and yours too. Consider getting it yourself. I have that. I have an adjustable base and all that jazz. I actually have a full-fledged massage chair in my man cave, like a huge one. And so, yep, I have an adjustable bed too. So thank you though. ASA therapist thoughts on man's mental health. As a therapist, thoughts on man's mental health. Funny how people claim it's okay, man, to care about mental health and show emotion, yet once they do, they're made fun of. Agreed? Yeah, man. I think that you made a real good point there. But again, it just goes back to people who just want to scapegoat. They want to make someone else the villain other than themselves, man. A lot of those people who are just negative all the time, that's often a reflection of how they feel about themselves. That's how psychology works, man. That's how psychology works. So got a spammer here. I agree. But we're not doing that. But I hope you subscribe though. I hope you're subscribing. I ain't gonna ban you. You just spam it. Maybe you're so trigger happy that's you got excited about that. So yeah, as a matter of fact, you did. Bring back Vince. But serious, what do you really think compared how Vince really gone? What do you really think compare now? Vince really gone and now seeing Triple H in full control. It's two different breeds, man. Triple H is really catering to a niche audience. I'm not a fan of that because I'm a traditional storyline. Be patient, give us depth, give us legs, all that. And I think that element should never be lost. But right now it's easy to cater to the marks. And at the end of the day, that's what we're going to do because they're going to get the money. Yes, get those likes up. Come on, like it. How do I learn to manage your money? That's a good question. That's a random, really good question. Make it. make money, budget, and watch videos on money and budgeting. And my wife and I went through Financial Peace University last, several years ago now, with Dave Ramsey, as far as like debt, getting out of debt, and which helped. Debt should be a demon to you, really. I mean, like, and then you have to really manage your money to be able to work hard, play hard. Sometimes work hard, play harder. Enjoy it, man. But be sure that you got everything that you need to get. Like, treat money oftentimes like work weeks. Like do your due diligence. Put the work in to pay and save and invest and spend. Have fun. You know, if you have, extra funds, man, enjoy. I always tell people, like, a lot of times people, and we got to go, but these are really good questions. A lot of times people they work 30, 40 years of their life. They have the last 10 years to really enjoy the fruits of their labor. They didn't do anything in between. And then they got an inheritance and they give it to somebody who blows it. Like, that sucks, man. Like, create memories, especially if you're married, man. Create memories. Go on date nights every week. You ain't got to spend, you ain't got to be all fancy all the time, but have fun, man. Get fancy. Look cute for each other. Get a hobby. Like, just figure something out, man. And at the end of the day, it's like, man, like, those things should be rewards for a job well done and working hard and saving money and investing, man. People, especially Blacks, African Americans, my peoples, like, we need to invest more. And this is across the board, but I can go on and on as far as the desire that I have for my family, mi familia, to be better with money, with managing money and spending money and using money for your advantage, man. We got to do better with that. Very much so. Kill debt and invest for the future and have fun, man. Like, have fun. Don't be so. A lot of times, man, people are so afraid of money. They let money control them. Like, don't let money control you, man. Own it. You control money. You make it. You save some. You spend some. Rinse, repeat. There you go. All right. And invest as well. Definitely invest. Make money work for you. Make money work in your sleep, man. That's what you got to do. So is it possible that Vince, even though he might have been on the best, may not have been the best of person, but business-wise knew how to manage talent better, or is it because of the Triple A's? I think he meant Triple H's. Been the best of person, but business-wise, I mean, there was a clash between the two of them. As far as managing talent better, I mean, that was something that Triple H was doing a lot when it comes to when he was there under Vince. And so, he gave him the reins to that. And so, yeah, it could have been a clash, but, when it comes to like full creative, there's a lot of people who aren't fans. There's a lot of good investors, man. There's of course, you got IRAs, Roth IRAs, traditional IRAs. You have real estate property investments is one of the biggest things. That's a big deal now. I'm starting to build my portfolio up. which is really cool. You have short-term rentals, long-term rentals. People like car washes are starting to become a really good investment idea. Vending machines are starting to become a really, really good investment idea, project with people. Laundry mats is starting to become a really, really good investment property because those are just easy. I mean, those are just easy investments, man. Like you can just have vending machines erected in 100 places around the city, and you're just going around racking up change. Same thing with car washes. Same thing with car washes. Like those are just quick cash investments. Cash investments, man. Vending machines, car washes, laundry mats, like stuff like that is really big, man. All the podcasts. I mean, like the majority of the podcasts I listen to as far as investments, they talk about just quick cash investments, stuff like that, man. Of course, property is when it comes to like lucrative stuff, property investments are really the way to go because then you can build offices, short-term, long-term, things like that when it comes to rentals. But if you just want to get your foot in the door that doesn't really have a huge startup cost, those quick cash investments like vending machines are really good. Now, when you start like buying someone's laundromat and just having like a laundromat change, those are pretty cool too. But yeah, man, you got to get those quick cash investments. Vending machines is the way to go, man, for sure. Again, laundromats too. A lot of investors are starting to speak very highly of laundromats. So, all right, I think my last one here. So with the WWE way Truth have right now, do you think Vince have capitalized by putting the belt on them, having him win the Royal Rumble, or having a Mankind moment? I don't know about win the Royal Rumble, but the Mankind moment would be just a random Raw that wasn't expected. He wins the championship, so yeah, so that would be interesting. And I reported something similar to that. That there's been some discussions, and so Sportskeeda Backstage Pass is where I have it. So yeah, well, wow, y'all, this was awesome. This was really, really good. Really, 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 really good. Had a ton of fun. Great questions, y'all. Again, this is the reason why PNP is amazing. The intellect and emotional intelligence that y'all have is so impressive. Got my boy back in the building, man. One of my OG hosts from 13 years ago, 12 years ago. That was awesome. Random pop up there. Great questions, y'all. We're talking about investments and like stuff like that. That was great. That was fantastic. That's the type of stuff that I like to talk about. Psychology, business, and all that, man. That's fantastic. All right, y'all. This was fun. Be sure to hit that subscribe button. We'll be heading over to the after party. I got some a little bit of more R-Troop stuff as far as backstage stuff that we're going to talk about for a hop, a skip, and a jump. We're on the countdown to my birthday. My birthday's in a few weeks, y'all. So I'm looking forward to that. And Father's Day is this coming weekend. So for all the fathers out there, thank you to the present, supportive, good, manly man. Take care of your stuff. Be responsible fathers. My beautiful wife is here. There you go. Yay. Speaking of wonderful show, it's wonderful. All right, so hey, so to all the fathers out there, have a happy Father's Day. And be sure to realize how much of a blessing it is to be a father. I know that firsthand. Love it, love it, love it. I love being a dad, man. My 3 kids they're bundles of joy, and their personalities are so hilarious individually and collectively. They're so fun, man. They're so fun. And my kids always tell me something that it's so subtle. It's so subtle that it's so resounding to me at the same time. Today, like last night, one of my sons, there was some scheduling stuff, and they were supposed to go somewhere, but we do haircuts every few weeks together. That's our bonding time with me and the boys. And they were going to go to this thing, and then my son was like, yeah, we were going to go, but he was like, but I'm more happy to spend time with you, Dad. And I'm like, oh, see, man, stuff like that is the reason why it is just, you're missing out on so much if you're not a present, active father to your kids, man. They know how to they know how to pull your heartstrings in the most nuanced, subtle ways possible of continuing to tell you how much you are a superhero to them. And I'm so blessed that I am a superhero to my kids. That is one of the greatest gifts that I can ever get as a human being, is to being a superhero to my kids. So fathers, be superheroes to your kids, man, and enjoy your Father's Day. And until next week, enjoy your week of resting. God bless, and always remember, I do it for you. Have a good night, buddy. So long.